Be'ezras Hashem, with Hashem's help, we begin today a new set of laws. Hilchos Chagigah, the laws of celebrating festivals, or maybe more accurately translated, the celebratory sacrifices that we bring on festivals. And it's also going to include the unique mitzvahs that apply on some of the three major holidays, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, which we're in the middle of celebrating right now. It's one of the shortest sets of laws in all of the Rambam, just 3 chapters. And here we go. As the Rambam always does, he gives us the list of mitzvahs that are going to be discussed in this set of laws. Yesh bichlolon sheish mitzvahs. Included in this set of laws are 6 of the 613 mitzvahs. Arba mitzvahs aseh, ushtayim mitzvahs leis aseh. 4 positive, 2 negative. V'zeu pratan. These are their details. Aleph, lehirois pnei Hashem. It's a mitzvah to appear in front of the face of God, to come to the Holy Temple on the 3 major holidays. Beis lochig b'shalosh regalim. To offer a festival sacrifice on the 3 major holidays. Gimel lismayach b'regalim, to engage in rejoicing during the 3 major holidays. This used to be done through bringing a specific sacrifice, but even today this can be fulfilled by eating special foods on the holidays, as we'll see, treating it in a special way. Daled shelo yiroeh reikam, there's a prohibition not to appear empty-handed in the temple. You must bring a sacrifice with you. Hey, shelo yazev levi milesamchay v'liten le matnoisav b'regalim. Do not abandon the Levites on the major holidays by making him happy, have him rejoice with the food, giving him the gifts from the produce that he's owed, the meiser and such. It's a special mitzvah that on holidays you should make sure that you're not leaving him forlorn. Vav lahakil sa'am b'chag hasukkos b'motzei shmita, a special mitzvah called hakel, which we had actually 2 years ago was a hakel year. That on Sukkot, on the year following a Shemitah year, a sabbatical year, there's a special procedure to gather in the entirety of the Jewish nation, men, women, and children, to follow a whole ceremony that we're going to delineate in the 3rd chapter of these set of laws. Bir mitzvahs elu b'prakim elu. The explanation of these mitzvahs is coming in the following 3 chapters. Here we go. Perek Rishon, chapter 1. Halacha Aleph. Shalosh mitzvahs aseh nitztavu Yisrael b'chol regel mishalosh regalim. The Jewish people were commanded with 3 positive mitzvahs on every one of the 3 major holidays, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. The Elu Hein, and they are Hari'iyah, the mitzvah to appear in the temple, to watch the service, to be there. And we'll soon see that appearing also means coming with a sacrifice. Shenemar, as it says in the Torah, Yeroeh kol zechurcha, all your males shall appear. It actually says this 3 times in the Torah. And so I brought the psukim of all 3. The Rambam doesn't say which one he's referring to, but Torah says it 3 times. Chagigah. There's another mitzvah to celebrate. And again, we'll see that celebration also includes a sacrifice. Shenemar, as it says, Tachig laHashem alekecha, you shall celebrate for Hashem your God. Ve'hasimcha, and the 3rd mitzvah is rejoicing. Shenemar, as it says, V'samachta b'chagecha, you shall be happy, rejoice on your holiday. And even the Rambam will define this shortly as a sacrifice. Here, he leaves it kind of vague to imply that there's also a mitzvah even when sacrifices cannot be brought. Hare'iyah ha'amura b'toirahi. What does it mean to appear? When Torah says to appear, it means shenire panav ba'azara b'yom tov harishon shel chag, that on the first day of the given holiday we should see Hashem's face in the temple courtyard. V'yavi imay karban oila bein min ha'oif bein min ha'behema, and together with just your arrival, you should also bring with you a burnt offering, whether a bird or an animal. Umisha bala azara b'yom rishon v'lo yehevi oila. Anybody who shows up in temple courtyard on the first day of holiday without a burnt offering, it's not enough that he didn't do the positive commandment. He also transgresses a negative commandment. As it says, lo yiro or v'lo yiro fanai rekam, you shall not see my face empty-handed. This is repeated again twice in the Torah, that you better not show up with nothing. But if you do show up with nothing, you don't get lashes for that transgression, because you didn't do an action. And that is the Re'iyah. What is the Chagigah? HaChagigah ha'amura b'toirahi. When Torah says celebrate, celebration means sheyakriv shlamim b'yom tov harishon shel chag b'voyei lehirois. That when you come to appear and fulfill the first mitzvah, and you bring with you a burnt offering, you should also offer a peace offering on the first day of holiday. The hadavar yedua, and it's well known, she'ein hashlamim ba'im ela min ha'behema. Peace offerings are only offered from actual animals, not from birds. These 2 mitzvahs, the appearing and the celebrating, both including sacrifices, women are not obligated in them. They don't have to show up. They don't have to bring these sacrifices. But the 3rd one, they do. The rejoicing that's told in the holidays is Sheyakriv Shlamim Yeser al Shalmei Chagigah. In addition to the peace offering for celebration, you should bring another peace offering, the Elu Heman Nikraim Shalmei Simchas Chagigah. These are called the peace offering of the rejoicing in the festival, the rejoicing in the celebration. Shenemar, as it says in a separate verse, V'zavachta Shlamim v'achalta sham, you shall offer a peace offering and eat it there, V'samachta lifnei Hashem Alekecha, and thereby rejoice in front of Hashem your God. V'nashim chayaves b'mitzvah zu, women are obligated in this mitzvah. This has created a big controversy in the commentaries. Seemingly the women are exempt from all time-bound mitzvahs. How could they be obligated in rejoicing? And the Rebbe has different pieces of commentary, as do many commentaries have. One of them is based on what I said before, that the Rambam is referring to the general simcha, not just the sacrifice of simcha, but the general idea of rejoicing in the holiday, as the Rabbi also alludes to that concept. But definitely the Rambam is saying that the third of the three festival mitzvahs are applicable to women. Halacha beis hare'iyah v'hachagigah ein lohen shir min haTorah. The sacrifices that you bring when you appear and for the festival rejoicing do not have a biblical amount. Shenemar, because it says, Ish kematnas yadai, each man should give according to the gifts of his hand, whatever you can afford. Aval medivrei seifrim, but rabbinically there is a money amount, a dollar amount placed on these animals. The rabbi said, the sacrifice you bring for the burnt offering, for appearing in the temple, should be worth no less than 1 silver coin. And the festival peace offering should be worth no less than 2 silver coins. If you can afford more, it's a mitzvah to bring according to your wealth. Shenemar says, according to what you could afford, according to what you can give. But minimal is 1 coin for Re'iyah, 2 coins for Chagigah. Halacha Gimel Shalmei Simcha, the third offering, the offering of rejoicing, even the rabbis didn't impose an amount over there. When a person would come to Jerusalem to celebrate, if he had with him the appearance sacrifices, the burnt offerings, he should bring them. Or bring money to buy the sacrifice. If you don't have actual coinage, don't bring things worth and hope to exchange. There's no bartering. Either you bring the animal or you bring the coin. Even if you had in your hand something worth, an object, a watch, a car, worth multiple golden coins, it's forbidden to come up empty with no money or no sacrifice. Either the money or the sacrifice. Why did the rabbis forbid coming with things equivalent to money? It's very possible you will not find something to sell. Even though you think you have a valuable object, no one's going to want to buy it. Or the money which you get for it will be invaluable, not valuable, in a negative sense. But if you bring cash with you, of course you're going to bring good cash. You're not going to be relying on somebody else's cash. If a person missed the first day, he didn't bring on the first day of holiday the burnt offering for Re'iyah, nor the Shlamim for Chagigah. You bring them all the rest of the 7 days of the holiday. Shenemar, because it says in the Torah, Shivas Yamim Tacheng LaHashem Alekecha, 7 days you shall celebrate for Hashem your God. This teaches you that they're all fit for celebration. Now they're all what's called makeup for the first. This is a very interesting concept. I'm supposed to be pulling the string at two ends. On the one end he says, Torah says 7 days. You can bring it on any of the 7 days. Then he says they're all makeup for the first. So the Rebbe explains makeup for the first doesn't mean that they're makeup as if you missed the opportunity on the first day. If you missed the first day, the other days are equally the time to bring the sacrifice. The point is, the reason you have an obligation on the other days is as an extension of the first day. So for example, if you weren't obligated on the first day for whatever reason, you wouldn't be obligated on the other days either. But in terms of when the obligation devolves, it devolves on all 7 days equally. It's a mitzvah, best behavior to bring it earlier on the first day. If you didn't bring it on the first day, whether inadvertently or purposely, bring it on the second day. If you delay, you are having disgusting behavior. Notice, he puts it on the person, not on the object. The sacrifice itself is equally acceptable. The person is behaving in a disgusting way. About him it says, in the prophets, Nugei mimoyed asafti. I will gather in those that have delayed the festival offerings. You shouldn't have done it, but I'll take it into. if the whole festival passed without you offering the celebratory sacrifice, there's no obligation to replace it later. About this and other similar situations, the Torah says in Ecclesiastes in Koheles, something crooked cannot be fixed. Once you miss the 7 days, there's no making it up. You missed the time, you missed the sacrifice. Look at this, that I'm talking about Sukkos on Sukkos. If somebody missed the first day of Sukkos, so here, let's say this is talking about Pesach, let's say. Pesach in Israel is 7 days. You missed the first day, you bring it on the other 7 days. What about Sukkot? Sukkot, we have 7 days of holiday, but it immediately goes into Shmini Atzeret, the 8th day of the holiday. So it says the Rambam, you get an extra day. If you missed bringing the sacrifices on the first day of Sukkot, you can offer the festival sacrifices for the rest of the holiday and on the last day, the 8th day. Even the 8th day is considered an extension and make-up time for the first day. Same thing if you missed on Shavuos. Shavuos is only 1 day. Even if you missed it, you can keep going for 7 days. You have 6 days, even though it's weekday, mundane days. But for bringing the sacrifice, you have those 6 days to make up. Even today we call them Yemei Tashlumin until the 12th of Sivan. The Davar Zeh Mipi Ashmua Nemar, this is transmitted to us from tradition, Chagigah Shavuos Chagigah Matzos LeTashlumin, that Shavuos has the same law as Pesach. When it comes to making up for it, you have 7 days to make up for Pesach, you have 7 days to make up for missing the sacrifice on Shavuos. The burnt offering for appearing and the peace offering for the festival, they don't override Shabbat, nor do they override impurity, because they don't have an inherently set time. Like, let's say, communal sacrifices. You missed today, you'll do it tomorrow. So therefore, if the first day of holiday falls out on Shabbos, like last year was, then you would push off bringing of a sacrifice to the second day. But they do override holiday. They do override Yom Tov. Therefore, even if it's a middle of the week, like this year, Sukkot was Thursday, you would bring it on the Thursday, because it overrides the holiday. Even though you don't bring voluntary sacrifices, fulfillments of vow sacrifices on holidays, the festival sacrifices, the burnt offering for appearance, peace offering for the festival, peace offering for rejoicing, you do bring those. Those aren't voluntary, those are obligatory offerings. When the person offering brings his burnt offering or peace offerings on holiday, you must lean on the animal and you do it with your full strength, like you would do on any other weekday. Even though leaning on a sacrifice is not essential, as we explained in the laws of sacrificial procedures, still the rabbis didn't decree on it, even though they have a rabbinic injunction against leaning on an animal typically. But for this, there's no injunction. Do the leaning as you would do it on a regular day, and then offer the sacrifice. Halacha Yud hamafrish eilas Yossi v'meis. A person puts aside a burnt offering. He's planning to go to the temple for the holiday, and then he dies. Hayershin chayavin lahavia. The heirs are obligated to bring it in his stead. Mutar lahakriv b'chol shel moed and davos. Even though on holiday itself you don't bring voluntary offerings, on chol hamoed, on the intermediary days, today is chol hamoed, you can bring the voluntary offerings that accumulated, say, the last couple of months, and now you're coming to Jerusalem, you want to pay up all your voluntary offerings that you promised. Chol hamoed is a good time. Shenemar, because it says, Eile tasu la'Hashem b'mayadechem. This is talking about the Musaf sacrifices for all the holidays. The Torah, at the end of saying all the Musaf sacrifices, it says the following verse. These are what you should do for Hashem on your holidays. Levad minidrechem v'nidvaisechem, besides for bringing your voluntary and donation sacrifices. Miklal shekrevin beregel, that implies that you can bring them on holidays. Otherwise, it's not besides. Besides for bringing your voluntary offerings, which are allowed, you also bring the Musaf offerings. And the Torah says, also le'oilesechem, your burnt offerings. This is referring to the burnt offerings brought by a person who is purifying himself from tsaras lesions, or a woman who gave birth. They can also bring those on the holiday. Your flour offerings, the mincha of a sinner who couldn't afford the animal or the birds, he can bring flour offerings. A sota, a suspected adulteress, can bring her mincha on the holiday. And the peace offerings, Shalmei Nazir, includes the peace offerings offered by a Nazirite when he concludes his term. Hakol krevin b'mayed ve'ein krevin b'yamtiv. All these things can be offered on Chol HaMoed, but not on the holiday itself. Halacha Yud Aleph says that Rambam halacha. If somebody comes to Jerusalem and he notices that he has a lot of eaters, his family is big, but not so much property, not so much money. Maybe shalmei chagigah merubin v'oiles re'iyah muatin. Better spend more money to bring more festival offerings, peace offerings, which more people could eat, and less burnt offerings. A small family but lots of money. Maybe honor Hashem more. Bring more burnt offerings, you can afford it, and bring less festival peace offerings because you have less people to eat it. If both were little, small family, small bank account. On this, the sages said, at least don't cross the minimum line. Bring at least 1 coin worth of re'iyah and 2 coins worth of peace offerings. If Hashem blessed you and you have a big bank account and a big family, on this the Torah says, follow the bracha that Hashem has given you. He gave you a lot of family members, He gave you a lot of money. Spend it on both types of sacrifices. Honor both Hashem and your family by bringing many oilis and many shlamim.